Emily had never seen herself as anything more than a small piece of the puzzle at Marlowe's Diner, a modest but busy spot nestled at the corner of 7th and Maple, the kind of place where regulars knew their favorite booth and waitresses knew the regulars by name. For over 2 years she had been weaving herself into the rhythm of the place, refilling coffee before it was asked for, remembering allergies, celebrating birthdays with the same enthusiasm, whether it was a 5-year-old's or a 70-year-old's. She didn't complain when the shifts ran late, when the tips were light, or when the cooks got short with her during rush hour. Emily simply worked, always with a smile, because she believed that being kind made a difference, even if no one else noticed. It was a gray Thursday afternoon when the man first walked into the diner. Rain slicked the windows and drizzled off his worn brown jacket. His jeans were faded, boots scuffed, and a ragged beanie clung to his head as though trying to stay warm with him. He moved quietly, like someone used to being ignored, shoulders slightly hunched and eyes scanning the room not for a friendly face, but for the least crowded corner. Emily spotted him the moment he stepped in. Something about the way he looked, around, uncertain, cautious, as if unsure he belonged there, tugged at her. The lunch crowd had died down, giving her a few minutes of peace. She grabbed a menu and approached with the same warm energy she offered to everyone, no matter their appearance. "Hi there," she said, smiling gently. "Welcome to Marlowe's. Just one today?" The man nodded. His voice was low, almost embarrassed. "Yeah, just me." "Well, you picked the perfect time. Kitchen's slow and the coffee's fresh. Sit wherever you like. I'll be right over." He chose the booth furthest from the door and sat carefully, as if unsure the seat wouldn't collapse under him. Emily gave him a moment, then slid the menu in front of him and poured him a cup of hot coffee. "I'm Emily, by the way. Let me know if you have any questions." He gave a faint nod, avoiding eye contact. She watched him glance over the menu, and noted how he lingered on the prices more than the dishes themselves. She knew that look, not from judgment, but from experience. People who counted every dollar didn't care how spicy the chili was. They cared whether it came with bread or not. After a moment, he asked quietly, "What's the cheapest thing you've got that'll still fill you up?" Emily paused. The specials weren't kind that day. Meatloaf and fries, $11.99. Too steep. "Honestly," she said, leaning in conspiratorially, "we've got a house soup today, potato and leek. It's hearty and good, and I can toss in a roll on the side. Just $5. I'll make sure it's a big bowl." His eyes lifted. Briefly. "You do that?" "Of course. No one should leave here hungry. I'll be right back." She walked to the kitchen and told the cook to make it a full serving. She added the roll herself, slicing it and warming it with a bit of butter. Then she brought it out with a fresh napkin, some crackers on the side, and a refill of coffee. She didn't mention the price again. The man ate slowly, deliberately. Halfway through, he looked up and met her eyes for the first time. "Thank you," he said simply. Emily just smiled. "You're welcome." That interaction stayed with her. Not because it was extraordinary, but because it wasn't. She treated him the way she treated everyone, with decency, with a little extra care. She didn't do it for tips or recognition. She just didn't like seeing someone cold and alone, when she could do something about it. The rest of the shift passed uneventfully. She cleaned tables, helped close up early for a slow night, and clocked out feeling good. That was until the next morning. She had barely tied on her apron when her manager, Carla, called her into the back office. Carla was stern, all sharp cheekbones, and clipped sentences, the kind of boss who believed rules mattered more than people. "Emily, we need to talk," Carla said as the door closed behind them. I reviewed the security footage from yesterday. Emily blinked. Okay? You gave away food to a customer without authorization. Soup, bread, extra coffee, all on the house. Emily felt a chill ripple through her. It was just one bowl of soup. He looked hungry, and that's not the point, Carla interrupted, her tone cutting. That's inventory, Emily. You don't get to decide who gets free food. I was just trying to help. He didn't have much. And it's soup. We throw half of it away at the end of the night anyway. Carla didn't budge. Company policy is very clear. Unauthorized discounts or freebies are grounds for dismissal. For a moment, Emily was sure she'd misheard. You're firing me? Over soup? This isn't the first time you've made decisions on your own. You think just because customers, like you can bend the rules. This isn't a charity. Emily opened her mouth, then closed it again. She thought of all the shifts she'd covered, the late nights she'd stayed to help the closing crew, the rude customers she'd handled. With grace, none of it mattered. I was doing what I thought was right, she said quietly. Well, now you can do it somewhere else. She removed her apron slowly, folded it on the desk, and left without another word. Her co-workers stared as she walked, past, some whispering, others pretending not to notice. Outside, the air was still damp from the night's rain. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding and her pride wounded. She didn't regret helping the man, but she couldn't shake the bitter thought. Maybe kindness really wasn't enough anymore. Emily spent that evening in her small apartment, curled up on the couch with a blanket and a mug of tea she didn't really want. The silence felt heavier than usual. Her apron was still in her bag by the door, and she hadn't had the heart to take it out. She'd folded it neatly, like she might still need it, like this was all some sort of misunderstanding that would be cleared up in the morning. But she knew better. Her phone sat face down on the coffee table. No calls, no texts. A couple of co-workers had probably heard, maybe even cared, but no one had reached out. She didn't blame them. People in food service learned quickly to protect themselves, to not get too close. Turnover was high. People came and went. Still, it stung. She played the events of the day over and over in her mind. The moment Carla had called her into the office, the cold corporate language, and that ridiculous sentence echoing in her head. This isn't a charity. Wasn't it, though? Wasn't that the point of hospitality? To take care of people? Not just the ones with big tabs and generous tips, but the ones who needed a warm meal, a kind word, a moment of dignity. She thought about the man with the scuffed boots. Had he known what would happen? Of course not. He probably thought she was just another nice waitress, doing her job. Maybe he didn't even realize how close to the edge she'd been walking, how tight the rules really were in places like Marlowe's. And now, because of a bowl of soup and a bit of compassion, she was out of work. It was almost 9 p.m. when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Probably spam. But something nudged her, and she picked it up. Hello? There was a pause, then a voice. Deep, warm, familiar in a strange way. Emily? Yes. Who is this? This is going to sound strange, the man said, his voice now more confident than it had been at the diner. But I think you served me yesterday, at Marlowe's. She blinked. You're the man in the beanie, the soup. He chuckled. That's me. Though that wasn't just a beanie. That was my undercover uniform. Excuse me? My name is Henry Marlowe. I'm the co-owner of the diner. Technically, I'm the owner now, after some recent changes with my brother stepping back. I've been conducting undercover visits to our locations across the city. Emily stood, up slowly, the words not quite sinking in. Wait, what? I was there to see how the staff handled real people, not VIPs, not investors, just regular folks. Or, in this case, someone who looked like he might not be able to afford much. I've done this before, but what you did caught me completely off guard. I didn't do anything special, she said quietly. Yes, you did, Henry replied. Serious now. You treated me like a person when everyone else barely looked at me. You offered kindness without expecting anything in return. You even broke the rules to make sure I didn't leave hungry. And I got fired for it. I know, he said, and I'm sorry. That should never have happened. Emily sat back, down, stunned. Why are you calling me? Because I want to fix this, he said. You showed me something that I think I forgot along the way, that hospitality is about heart, about humanity. And right now, our diner needs more of that, not less. She was silent, trying to process it all. I'm not sure I understand. I'm offering you a job, Henry said. Not just your old job, a better one. I want you to come back to Marlowe's as the new manager. Emily blinked. The manager? Carla's being reassigned, he continued. Let's just say her vision of leadership doesn't align with where we're taking the business. But you lead by example. You showed integrity, compassion, and judgment under pressure. You didn't know who I was, and you still did the right thing. She didn't know what to say. Her heart was pounding again, but this time with something other than dread. I understand if this is a lot to take in, Henry continued. But we're restructuring. I want the diner to reflect the values you showed me. I've read your employee file. Everyone loves working with you. The only mark against you is yesterday, and frankly, I see that as a badge of honor. Emily laughed softly, incredulous. This is surreal. I know, Henry said, but it's real. If you're willing, I'd like to meet tomorrow morning. We'll go over the offer in person. Talk about what changes you'd like to see and what support you'd need. She leaned back, tears stinging her eyes. She'd walked home feeling like a failure. Now this stranger, no, not a stranger, her boss, was offering her the one thing she never thought she'd get from that job. A voice. Okay, she said finally. I'll be there. Great. 10 a.m. at the diner. 10 a.m., she repeated, a smile breaking through the disbelief. Emily? He added before hanging up. Yes? Thank you for being the kind of person this world needs more of. The line went dead. She sat there for a long time, the room now filled with a buzzing energy she hadn't felt in months. She stood, walked to her bag, and pulled out her apron. For the first time since that awful morning, she held it without sadness. Tomorrow, she wouldn't be tying it on. Tomorrow, she'd be walking back into Marlowe's not as a waitress, but as the woman in charge. The next morning, the sun peeked through scattered clouds as Emily stood in front of Marlowe's diner. The sign above the door gleamed a little brighter in the early light, or maybe it just looked that way to her. She adjusted the navy blazer she'd pulled from the back of her closet, the one she hadn't worn since her last job interview years ago, and took a steadying breath. Her palms were clammy, heart racing not with fear but with anticipation. She wasn't here to take orders or carry trays. She was here as the new manager. Inside, the diner was slowly coming to life. The kitchen hissed and sizzled, coffee brewed. A few of the morning crew were already busy, prepping for the breakfast rush. Heads turned as she entered, and silence fell for a beat. One of the servers, Beth, blinked in surprise. "Emily," she asked, setting down a stack of menus. "What? Are you back?" Emily smiled gently, nodding. "I am." Beth's eyes dropped to the blazer, then widened as she put two and two together. "Are you—" Before she could finish, the bell above the door chimed again. Henry walked in, this time in a clean jacket and pressed slacks. He carried a briefcase under one arm and a calm, steady smile that matched his composed demeanor. "Morning, everyone," he greeted the staff, who now stood frozen in varying degrees of confusion and curiosity. "I won't take up much of your time. I just need a few minutes." He gestured for Emily to join him in the center of the dining area. The staff slowly gathered, whispering among themselves. Carla wasn't there, likely informed of the change before opening. "This is Emily," Henry said, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Many of you already know her. You've worked alongside her, shared shifts, relied on her. She's been with us through long nights and chaotic mornings. And yesterday we made a mistake, a big one." The room was dead silent now. Emily was let go for doing the right thing, for helping someone in need, for offering compassion without hesitation. That someone, by the way, was me. He smiled wryly. I was here undercover to observe the culture and customer service firsthand. And of everyone I encountered, only one person truly represented what Marlowe's should stand for. Murmurs rippled through the staff. A few exchanged shocked glances. Beth looked like she might cry. "That's why I'm proud to announce that Emily is your new manager," someone gasped. Another server, Devon, clapped once in disbelief. "She will be leading this team moving forward," Henry continued. "And I hope you give her the same respect and support you gave her as a peer, if not more. Under her leadership, we're going to rebuild this place with a renewed focus on kindness, dignity, and real hospitality." He turned to Emily. "It's your floor now." Henry nodded and stepped aside. Emily took a breath. Her voice trembled slightly as she began, but it grew steadier with every word. "Hi. I know this might be a surprise for some of you. It is for me too," she said with a nervous chuckle. "But I want you to know I don't take this lightly. I know what it's like to be on your side of things, running from table to table, managing difficult customers, juggling demands that don't always make sense. I've been there, and I haven't forgotten." She looked around the room, meeting eyes. "This place works because you make it work. My goal isn't to overhaul everything overnight, but to make this a place where people want to come in the morning. Not just customers, but staff too." People were listening now, leaning in. "We're going to implement a few changes, right?" "Away," she continued. "First, no more penalty shifts for calling out sick. If you're unwell, I want you to rest, not work through a fever because you're afraid of losing hours. Second, we'll be rotating weekend shifts more fairly, so no one feels like they're always the one giving up their Saturdays." A low hum of approval began to build. "And finally, we're introducing a compassion allowance. That means you have the authority to comp a meal or offer help to someone who genuinely needs it, without having to beg a manager for approval. I trust your judgment. We're in the business of service. That means people come first." A round of applause broke out, hesitant at first, then growing. Beth beamed. Devon grinned and gave her a thumbs up. The line cook in the back, who had barely acknowledged her the day before, gave her a nod of respect. As the morning moved on, Emily dove into her new role with both hands. She worked alongside the staff, not above them, wiping down tables, reviewing schedules, asking about their pain points. One of the newer servers, Maria, confessed she'd been afraid to speak up about a rude regular who always made her uncomfortable. Emily made a note and assured her it would be handled. By noon, the energy in the diner had shifted completely. Customers noticed, too. One elderly man said the place felt warmer than it had in months. A young couple complimented the attentiveness of the staff. Even the kitchen, usually tense and irritable by lunch rush, moved more smoothly, less strained. That afternoon, Henry returned to check in. "How's it going?" he asked her quietly at the counter. Emily smiled. "It's going." He looked around the room. "It's more than that. You've already made a difference." She glanced at the bustling floor, the subtle camaraderie in the air. "It's not just me. They needed a voice. I'm just trying to be that for them." Henry nodded approvingly. "Keep doing what you're doing. And when you're ready, let's talk about getting you into regional management training." Her eyebrows shot up. "Seriously? You've got a rare thing, Emily. Real leadership. And we could use that on a bigger scale." Emily laughed softly. "Let's see how week 1 goes." As the day drew to a close and the dinner shift prepared to take over, Emily stood in the doorway of her office, the very one she'd once been fired in, and took a quiet moment to reflect. The walls were the same. The coffee smelled the same. Even the menu hadn't changed. But everything else had. She hadn't just returned. She'd risen. Not by playing the game, not by climbing over others, but by staying true to herself. A bowl of soup, a moment of kindness, a simple choice, to treat someone like they mattered. That's what had changed her life. And now she would spend every day making sure others got that same chance.